Hey, welcome to the call. This is Jason Moss with the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance and Manufacturing News Network. We have got a fantastic call for you today. We're doing this on Zoom meeting, and what we're going to do is we're going to be sharing some insights on leadership and leadership development. We're going to be talking about some of the challenges and some of the times that we're going through, and finding some really cool solutions to some of the things that we're facing as leaders. If you're on this call or if you've been invited to this call, you are a leader either in business or in your community. And again, the insights that we plan to share on this will make a big difference in your communication and working with your team. If this is your first time, we'll give you a quick introduction to who we are and why we're doing these calls. My name is Jason Moss. I'm the founder of the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance, and our organization for the past 12 years is committed to help support and grow manufacturing in the state of Georgia. As a matter of fact, over the past 12 months, we've had about 3,500 folks attend events that we hosted, and we hosted about 120 events around the state of Georgia. Now, we're a live face-to-face business networking organization, and we've had to shift our gears pretty quickly over the last 2 or 3 weeks to go from a face-to-face organization to a virtual organization. And so what we're doing, our mission has not changed. Our mission stays the same, again, to help support and grow manufacturing in the state of Georgia, but we're doing it virtually now. And I'm excited about using these technologies and learning new ways to do this. But one of the great benefits of being able to do that is we're building new types of relationships, and in those relationships that we're developing, they might be digital, but by using Zoom, if you got cameras, we're being able to see face to face kind of who we're talking to. But another benefit is being able to have access to folks that maybe their schedule's a little crazy. And the guy we're bringing on, I am so excited to introduce you guys to Lieutenant Colonel Waldo Waldman. And Waldo is a great friend of mine. I met Waldo at a conference about 2 years ago. He was a keynote speaker at a conference down in Savannah. I walked into the big conference room. I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory about kind of how we got connected. I walked into the big auditorium where he was prepping for his presentation, and I've always been just I've been a student of great orators. I love to watch keynote speakers and great people speak. And I'd never had the opportunity to kind of get behind the scenes to see how somebody's set up. Now it was by accident. I just happened to walk into the room. All the lights were dim and I heard a little bit going on. And it was cool because Waldo was he was going through his pre-flight. He was in there. He was prepping for his presentation, and there were about, I think, probably 2,000 people at this conference, 1,500, 2,000 people that were lined up to be at this conference. And he was going through and kind of stepping through the bits and pieces of how everything was going to come together. He said, I'm going to be right here, and we're going to do the lights, and this is how we're going to do the audio, and make sure that this video is keyed up. And in the event something happens, you've got another computer sitting right there as a backup, and it's all ready to go. So all you got to do is, and there was a little bit of a stumble as he was going through that process. And it was at that point when I figured out there was something a little bit different about this guy. Now, for some of you guys that don't know, I'm an Air Force guy. I actually loaded bombs on F-16s during Desert Storm. I was over in Turkey for quite a while, and Waldo was a pilot, and he actually flew those same F-16s, not the ones that I was loading personally, but the same plane. And he had a little different mission on the planet, and my job was to put bombs on them. His job was to let the bombs go at the right places, right? So, but I never really had and never met a commissioned officer that showed as much respect for me and my service as I did after I met Waldo, because I saw how he interacted with the staff getting ready for his presentation. I bumped into him out in the hall, and we talked for a few minutes, and I knew there was something different about this guy. And as we started talking, and he actually shared with me some of the experiences that he had as a commissioned officer, and some of the things that formed his relationship and his ability to communicate with all different levels of folks in the service. And I've never felt as respected and appreciated for my services as I was the day that Waldo and I sat down and talked for the first time. So he means a ton to me. And so I followed him. As soon as we talked, I bought his book. I was like, man, I want to find out what makes this guy tick. And I listened to his audio book, and and it has been really beneficial for me as a leader and in business to be working with Waldo. And we've got him scheduled to be our keynote speaker. He's the first time we've ever brought somebody in to speak to the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance community that's not a manufacturer. And so I was real guarded. I've always been cautious about that, but this was the perfect and continues to be the best decision I think we've made. And so in September 15th, he's going to be our keynote speaker. Now, all of that to say, what the coronavirus has to do with that and leadership, well, this is the cool piece. We were able to get him on this call to share some of his insights and be able to share it with everybody that's here. And that's really cool. I mean, that gives us, using this technology, gives us opportunity to learn in a different way, in a different format. And so what we're going to do is, again, we're going to kind of pick his brain a little bit on leadership and ideas and how you can lead in turbulent times. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch this over to my good friend, Waldo. And if you would just kind of take it from here.
You got it. Well, thanks, Jason. And thanks to everybody for taking the time out of your schedule to chat today. How many folks, I guess by raise of hands, are entrepreneurs, like just working on your own, like working in your own business? Couple folks there. Yep. And then raise your hand if you're now working at home as a employee for a company. I know some are in the legal field and manufacturing. So most of you are probably working from home with your own company that said you got to work from home, right? Is that most
right.
of
yes.
folks here? Yep. Okay. And then what about you, Brian? And I want this to be interactive, by the way. So Brian, what about you? Like, what do you do, sir?
Well, I founded and run a B2B lead generation accelerator here.
Okay.
Called linkyoursales.com. We work with manufacturers to build leads and sales. I'm also got a second role on advising Jason's organization on sponsorship and getting him to move his business to the next level.
Okay, got it. Yeah, Brian, you told Jason, you told me about Brian before, so that's great.
He's punching a little below his weight class there, Colonel.
Brittany, what about you? What brought you here?
So I'm with Jason. I'm the membership director for Georgia Manufacturing Alliance.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And Gina, what about you, ma'am? You're on. You got to unmute, Gina. There you go. Still can't hear you. So Gina, what I want you to do, and I'm doing this for a reason, go to the bottom left under where it says mute, pop that up arrow and make sure you're select a microphone. Make sure something's, is that working now? Yeah.
Did that do it?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Gina Lynn. I work with YKK in Dublin, Georgia. I'm in supply chain.
God, I work a lot in the supply chain niche. And then Roger, what about you, sir? There you go.
I have an engineering company.
Okay.
My expertise is production machinery and related safety issues.
Okay, super duper.
I'm also the state president for the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers.
Excellent. Congratulations. Well done, sir. And now, Meyer America, I know who you are, sir. I can't remember your name. What's your first name? And I think you may have seen me. You may have been at NSA or saw me at a recent meeting, I believe, right?
Yes, I've seen you multiple times. I met you at the Influence. We spoke briefly.
Yes, sir.
Denver.
Yeah. Okay. What was your first name again? I apologize.
Rob.
Okay. Got
My
it.
last name is Cool.
Okay. Got it.
Manage a small German subsidiary.
Okay. Got it. And Joy, last one. I'm just picking a few here. And what about you, Joy?
Apologize, had to unmute. We're actually working right now, so I can apologize to everyone in advance. It's not out of disrespect if I'm looking up and talking. We're trying to wrap up, but I work for a company that we do assembly, some third-party logistics for other companies. We're basically a firm that people are outsourced to, and I work with people with disabilities, and we are on a rotation schedule here for people that are not high risk.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. I'm going to just pick one more, probably the youngest looking guy in the group, the millennial, Dave Edmondson, unless the light's treating you well today, Dave. What about you, sir?
The light and life have both treated me.
That's hilarious.
I own a company. I do B2B dealer e-commerce portal. So for manufacturers, it's an online system for their dealers.
Okay. And so we got Yariv Saban sitting outside. I like his style. Very good, sir. Nice. So I did that for a reason, because a lot of times how many folks have been on multiple Zoom calls the last few weeks? Raise your hand, right? This is very common. And what happens a lot of times is that we don't take advantage of the other people that are on the call. There may be somebody today who shares something, maybe somebody that you can connect with a week from now, a day from now, a month from now, that could give you an insight, create a business opportunity, build a friendship. Don't look at these Zoom calls, these virtual meetings, as just myopically listening to the speaker. I want you to realize that there are other wingmen and wingmans on these calls who you could connect with. And so take advantage of that. We need to start shifting the way we do our meetings, we live our lives, run our businesses, and network, because these virtual meetings are going to become more and more prominent. And if we don't shake hands virtually and follow up with each other virtually, it's going to be very difficult to leverage the relationships that we meet. And so as we participate in the next 40 minutes or so, just realize that there may be somebody who could help you. And number two is the fact that you all made a commitment to show up today. I've got an inbox that's being filled. Our partners, customers, prospects, the ones who are canceling meetings and having invoice problems and challenging you to work from home. Hey, the work must get done. And so we have to be more maniacal about the discipline processes of our day to say, when am I going to press pause on my business and invest in relationships, invest in some new content, maybe some motivation, maybe an insight or two. If we're in the trenches the whole time, flying our jets, we also have to put ourselves into the hangar and tighten down the rivets. Tighten down the rivets and make sure that we're investing in ourselves. And so I commend every one of you for doing that, but it takes an inordinate amount of self-discipline, because I'm an entrepreneur. Some of the folks here are entrepreneurs. Others, if you have other people dictating your day to you, if you're in an office where you're with other people, where you have processes, leaders and managers on top of you, holding you accountable, different context than when you're working at home, flying your jet, and you need to know where your radar is going to go, what the targets you're going to take out, and what people you're going to pick up the phone and talk to, because this, my friends, could be the biggest distractor of your ability to succeed in this hostile, turbulent environment. Mm-hmm. And this many times is a distraction. The phone is often a distraction. Our Outlook email is often a distraction. So planning your day, being diligent about your schedule, and not letting the winds of turbulence blow you off of a target is the first thing that I want to share with you. Because if we're being blown off course, if we're letting the turbulence get us off of course and the headwinds hold us back and we become victim to that, we will not stay on our path and accomplish the mission. You heard Jason say before, the mission of GMA hasn't changed. Your mission should not change with your business. If you're an entrepreneur, driving revenue, growing, adapting, an accountant, a supply chain specialist, your mission must still be the same. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to wake up tomorrow, or if you woke up today distracted from that mission, you've got to find out that true north and reset your navigation to stay on course. Does that make sense, everybody?
Oh yeah.
And because if we're distracted and flying somebody else's agenda, that's going to be a problem. That being said, guess what? It's not business as usual.
Right.
We're now flying an F-16 when before we were flying a crew cockpit C-130 or 141.
Hey, Waldo, can you hang just for a quick second?
Yeah.
Because one of the things I wanted to do is make sure that I did a proper introduction. You know, I did share with you a little bit about how we got connected, but let me explain to you who you're talking to and kind of who we're listening to and sort of why that makes sense. Again, we've got Waldo scheduled to be our keynote speaker, but Waldo is also a New York Times best-selling author, and he wrote a book called Never Fly Solo. Again, that book, I use it as a reference all the time. It's a great tool that we use internally as an organization. But again, New York Times best-selling author. He is a Hall of Fame keynote speaker and decorated fighter pilot. So you're going to hear a lot of references to the aircraft and the fighter pilot conversation. He does a great job of connecting all those bits and pieces. And so if you're in the aviation space or if you've been in the military, you'll be able to appreciate a lot of the jargon and the connections. And even if you aren't, I believe it'll help kind of connect the dots for you for this. So thanks, Waldo.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, so I was a fighter pilot, and then I got out, went to business school, was in technology sales, by the way, virtual simulation. Back in the early 2000s, I worked for an Israeli company in defense contracting and virtual simulation. Then I was in mergers and acquisitions, M&A, commission-only sales, biz dev, working high-level B2B sales. And so I had to wake up every day eating what I killed. No guaranteed revenue. And so I got used to cold calling and building relationships and following up and leveraging CRM and doing my due diligence and research before I picked up the phone, showed up at events, gave my wings away. And then I weaned my way into the speaking world. So a lot of the tools that I'm going to share with you, the philosophies, this isn't from some damn book that I read. Most of it's from the scars and battle damage that I had in life, winning and losing deals and being, embarrassed because I wasn't prepared at a high level meeting. So we all have those sales scars and business battle damage that kind of infiltrate our lives and give us the experience that we need. And so as we deal with this missile called coronavirus, and we're looking at our 401ks drop, and our children are being taught at home, and our schedules are now up in the air, we have to start thinking differently. By the way, if you're not on mute, if you could just go ahead and go on mute if you're not talking, that'll just prevent residual noise. Thank you. And so we have to think differently about not just leading our teams, but leading ourselves. What processes do we need to take and make and get uncomfortable with so that we're more used to this new cockpit, this new flight plan that's taking us to the target of our mission? And so I talked about the discipline and the schedules that we have. Before I leave today, I'm going to know exactly what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, who I'm calling, what are the priorities of the day, what am I going to say yes to, what am I going to say no to. I have my workout on the calendar because I think we still need to work on our physical fitness, our energy that we bring to the table. And so I find, as an executive coach and somebody working with leaders a lot, in particular folks who are working at home, the discipline aligns your commitments, which builds the results. So as you're getting uncomfortable now, learning Zoom, getting on these virtual calls, figuring out how to get uncomfortable and learn this new paradigm that you're in, go through the pains, get uncomfortable, but also leverage the people that are on these calls and other people who you can call to for help in case you're having a bad day or you're disrupted and don't know where to turn. And so never fly solo means we built relationships with people who we could call out to for help. And so how many folks by a little raise of hands have folks been reaching out to you in the last week or two saying, hey, Brian, what's going on? Henry, help me out here. How you doing, right? Are we on these phone calls? And sometimes it lifts us up, doesn't it? It gives us a new context, right? And so getting on the phone with your teams, with your peers, with your friends who may live in California to kind of make sure that you're on the right flight plan, make sure that you're able to take off of your mask and ask for help and maybe reveal a little fear or insecurity is very, very important. And the reason why I say that, I remember going to battle in Iraq and Kosovo, deployed for 6 months at a time, all of us crapping in our pants, not knowing when the war is going to end, wondering if tomorrow is going to be different than today because the enemy was constantly changing. Some of us were getting shot down. We didn't know what was going to happen hour to hour, day to day, week to week. And it's sort of how it is now. Would you guys agree?
Oh, yeah.
Like we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so we helped each other out by creating this conduit of support in that squadron. We discussed our fears. We huddled together. We inspired each other. We worked out together. We held each other accountable. This sense of commitment and alignment to each other helped drive our commitment, drive our disciplines, because we knew that we had others to support us, and we also were supporting others.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is philosophical, but I want you to kind of rehack who's supporting you today. Who can you turn to for help when the crap hits the fan, when you wake up tomorrow without a flight plan, fearful, uncertain where your payroll is going to come from, or how you're going to pay your bills, or if you're going to let down your family? Pick up that phone. Pick it up, call a buddy, be respectful of their time, and don't hold it in. I guarantee, folks, people are going to be getting depressed, suicidal. Guess what? That's what happened in the military too. We don't want that to happen to anybody, in particular the folks that are on this call and part of GMA and anybody in my life. And so take off your mask, ask for help, talk to your buddies, get some insights, and then call somebody else who you think may be in the weeds. Most people are afraid to help, right? Afraid to ask for help. Hey, we're out there. I'm leading now. I'm this virtual manager, and I'm gonna work from home, and I'm gonna salute smartly, and I'm gonna panic on my own. I'm not calling anybody. I guarantee there are some folks that are like that right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want you to kind of keep your radar sweeping on who you can reach out to that you haven't heard from a while, that could get that phone call from you, Brittany, or you, Joy, or you, Heather, or Alan. Maybe that phone call that you make, Leanne, can make a difference for somebody who you haven't heard from. Maybe they're quiet. You're assuming that they're doing okay, leading themselves, courageous. But somebody right now is throwing up in the bathroom and stifled and paralyzed with fear. And so in this world right now, I'm sharing this now because if we don't take care of that, our emotional stability, our relationships, lifting each other up when we're trying to get dragged down, then our processes and Excel spreadsheets and invoices and sales processes aren't going to mean a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to rehack that clock and get boiled down to those relationships that we have, and then look ourselves in the mirror every morning as we put on our flight suit and look at the wingman or wingman staring back at you saying, do I trust you? Kaki, are you going to go out there and make it happen for me? I need you to be on that call. I need you to make things happen. And so if we're feeling insecure and not prepared and ready to kick some ass, guess what? You get back into that cockpit and start thinking about how you can train or get on the phone, because it's ultimately up to us to fly our jets and make things happen. The most important wingman, the most important trusted partner has to be ourselves. And that's why we have to go through this discomfort, get on these Zoom calls, learn new technologies, humble ourselves, and realize that we have to start retooling our jet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And it's not going to happen in a week or 2 weeks. It's going to take some time. So be patient with yourself. Be patient, but then set a course and get to work. We should be sweating every single day. And sweating meaning getting uncomfortable, learning new processes and tools, reading the books, attending the seminars, being more disciplined with our time more than ever, not getting sucked into the Netflix shows. Although I've been watching a little bit of Better Call Saul lately, because it's good to get our brain, ease up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to say a note here. Unfortunately, these days, that silent person might actually fear that they have a deadly illness. I found one such friend in that situation, right? Yeah, so it could be coronavirus for some people. It could be something else for others.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so what I love about this is it's rehacking what's important. Because somebody with cancer right now who woke up wish they probably had the coronavirus, because they'd have a 0.05 or 1% chance of dying as opposed to whatever. So this perspective on life and appreciation for the blessings that we have is a great thing. And I learned that in combat and in war. And I bet there may be some veterans on the Zoom call. I know Jason as well, maybe some others. I learned that sense of humility that made me more compassionate and empathetic towards others. But it always boiled down to, can I count on you, that person staring back at me? And we have to put in the work and be that type of partner that we trust in ourselves and that others can trust. I'm going to just press pause right now. I know it was philosophical, but I'd like to open it up to some questions, maybe something that may be going on in your life, in your business that can relate to that, or maybe that I could give you some alignment with as you struggle to get in your jet and push up the throttle every day.
Hey, Waldo, Alan Nelson here. Just a perfect timing on both parts, I guess.
Yes, sir.
So based on your experience and as you think about the current environment we're in,
right,
you know, leaders and organizations are called upon to stand tall when we're also worried about what's happening as well.
Right.
Doubtless in your experience, certainly in the military, there were plenty of times when you were just as, you know, worried, scared, frightened, whatever words you want to use, as the people you were working with. How did you lead in those environments? What were your touchstones?
Okay, great concept. Because remember the flight lead, you know, I remember going out on some of my combat missions with my leader, scared to death, right? I'm like, holy crap. Now, if he or she was leading me and they started to take off that mask and cry and saying, I'm scared to death, well, I'm really not sure we're going to make it back today, stay in position, I would lose trust in that leader. It didn't mean that we weren't afraid. Doesn't mean that your leaders aren't afraid. Doesn't mean that you're afraid as the flight lead, the senior VP, the logistics manager, your plant manager, your whatever. Doesn't mean that you're afraid or that you're not afraid. But it means, number one, you have an inordinate responsibility to help these people out. That is why you're a leader, and that's why your leaders are responsible for you. They supposedly have earned those wings, which are only tested, by the way, when the proverbial crap hits the fan and the excellence and fear comes. That's when we're tested. That's when our true commitment is tested. And so when I talk to leaders more and more now, I say, guess what? If it's you, Alan, or you, Leanne, or you, Brian, you have to stay myopically focused and have the courage to lead your team. I'm getting to a point here. And it sucks. And you're going to have to be the first to take the missiles. You're going to have to be disrupted. You're going to have to, you know, go out of your way to spend more time inspiring and teaching people, despite the fact that you're afraid as well. But the way you're going to do it and the tool that you're going to have at your disposal is that you already have people outside of your organization that you built relationships with, your peers, your Jason Mosses, your Waldo Waldmans, that you can come back from the mission and say, hey, Joe, we came out and killed the enemy. I just threw up after the mission and I'm scared to death, man. I don't know if I could do this tomorrow. I don't know if I could lead my team again on this air-to-air mission that I'm with. I don't want to let them down. And so leaders too must find folks perhaps outside of their organization that they could take their mask off to and cry and ask for help and reveal the weaknesses and find tools to build that courage, because tomorrow they got to get in that jet every day. It doesn't make it easier. It's more difficult for the leaders, because if they're not committed and setting the tone and emulating excellence and courage, their team won't either. Does that make sense? And if you're not on these calls, if you're not going out of your way, making a text at 10 o'clock at night, hey, just checking in with you, Joanne. Are you okay? I'm here for you tomorrow. And then you talk to your spouse or your kids, and you've got your call with your financial advisor to discuss your dropping 401k and you don't even know if you're going to make your payroll. This is where it's tested. And this is why, once again, it's a curse and it's a gift, because now we're realizing what's really important for us. So the bottom line is, Alan, dig the well before you need it. If you're a leader and looking at your Rolodex, so to speak, saying, I don't know who to call right now to give me inspiration as I lead my team, you haven't done the hard work, digging the well, networking, building relationships, and nurturing those key, excuse me, those key relationships that you need before those missiles come.
Yeah, Waldo, I tell you, that's a great point. And I really appreciate you bringing that up, because we were, you know, as as an association leader, people look to us to provide the answers through the tough times. And there's a variety of different things that we've been trying to do. Our organization, again, we've had to retool 100% in the past 3 to 4 weeks. And fortunately, we had about a month lead time on that. So the past 6 to 8 weeks, we've been having these discussions on how to redo this. And I looked to my leaders, the Georgia Society of Association Executives, and said, okay, guys, what are you guys doing? Or what are you doing in preparation? And some people weren't doing anything. They're like, it's just the flu and it'll go away in 2 or 3 weeks. Some people were, freaking out. And I found a few of those toilet paper hoarders, but what we're trying to, but I went to and asked the people that I was connected to. But even before that, one of the things that I committed to is I want to develop personally, and I want to be a leader. And I know that you can only, you can grow only when you're learning, right? And so I reached out to Waldo about a year ago, I guess, almost a year ago, and reached out to him and got, because there's so few people in my world that I'm not directly connected to through GMA. So my goal is to be a strong leader for you guys, but I need to go get some inspiration and some coaching and some training, and the executive coaching that I've been through with Waldo has been priceless, because it gives me a safe space to go. I mean, he loves me, warts and all, baby. I mean, so he probably knows way about more of my business than anybody else on this call, but he gets it. And having a trusted advisor, a partner like that, has been unbelievably valuable to me. But also I've connected with a couple peers in the space. And I think, that's another place that you can go to, because other folks are going through some of the same stuff that you're going through. But being able to talk to some of the other association executives has been really valuable to me, because I'm learning some neat tricks, and hopefully that's what these calls are designed for. That's why we're putting these things together. We're not doing it to burn up the day. We're doing it to give you best practices so that you can learn from each other, because I promise you, way a lot smarter folks on this call than I am. And I want you guys to share what's working and what's not working, and being able to bring Waldo to the table. This is something I'm really excited about, and being able to share these insights on leadership. That's what we do. So like you said, dig you well before you need it. And I'm thankful that we've been able to build this relationship and to open these doors and to share this knowledge. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of that. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Cause I think a lot of folks are getting into the tactical portions of our day, leveraging social media and tools, and how we're going to virtualize everything. But sometimes we got to get back to the basics on these relationships and mindsets and skill sets. And last and most importantly, I just coined this recently, it's our heart set. It's our passions, our drives, and our heart. What do we believe in? Because here's what's great. I run a 7-figure business. I'm doing very, very well. My business has gotten shot out of the sky. I'm not doing live events anymore. I do mostly keynotes and seminars, but I do executive coaching with folks like Jason. I do Zoom leadership meetings. I do some speaker training as well. My business is shifted completely. And I'm fine. I was talking to my wife. I love the fact that I don't have to be on the road. I did 13 speeches in 30 days. I was all over the world, Quito, Ecuador, everywhere, flying around. I'm like, holy crap, it's so nice to be at home. And my heart, I feel so much more open now. My heart set, like, why am I, sometimes we're so distracted by how busy we are. We forget, what are we doing? Where is our heart and our passion? Where is it aligned? Our skills may be good. We may be loving getting out there and running around and helping people, whatever. But if our heart's not in the right place, if we're not feeling our soul and spirit lifted up and excited about what we're doing every day, man, that's going to hurt us. And these disruptions, these fears force us to go inward, and then we go outward. We have to find out deep inside where our heart is. What do we truly enjoy? My wife's starting to play piano. I'm spending more quality time with my little guy. I'm doing things like this, calling people. Who can I help? Who can I help? Who can you help right now? Don't worry about the revenue. Don't worry about the contract. You have an expertise, tons of experience. There's seasoned folks in this room who have ideas and skills and mindsets. Find your peers find the people who are paying you a check right now, maybe your past customers who've been blessed to write you that check, and say, I have a skill set in X and A, B, and C. Let me deliver that for you, team. How can I help you? And come up with some suggestions. Don't be generic, because I've had a lot of people saying, hey, Waldo, let me know if I can help you out today. Let me know if I can help you out. Like, we hear that, right? Kaki, hey, let me know if I can help you out. And you're like, just, well, my God, I have 1,000 things you could probably help me with, but I don't know your expertise, really. Tell me, give me something specific. Share something specific. For example, like this, I told Jason, I'm an expert in dealing with disruption and change and leading ourselves during chaos. Let me share this with your group. I wouldn't do this for a perfect stranger. I have a relationship with Jason. We built that. We planted that seed years ago. And so just focus on helping your folks, maybe in the next month or so. Resolve yourself to the fact that I'm probably not going to make much money in the next month or two. Hopefully that's it. I'm not worried about the damn revenue. I'm just going to give my gift. I'm going to give it away. And I'm going to solidify and bake in some of those relationships. So when this virus stuff ends, people are going to remember that. And your heart's going to be centered. You're going to feel good about who you are and what you're doing. You're going to retool yourself into certain ways and techniques and the things that you didn't know you were capable of. And that may also shift your future and where you're making your money. I could potentially shift my whole business to do more coaching, more virtual training. I don't know. I'm thankful I don't have to get on a damn plane and be away from my family a lot. And so don't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
Only be afraid if you're not showing up. Only be afraid if you're not connecting and listening and getting uncomfortable. That's when you should be afraid. And guess what? It's a slow, insidious descent to irrelevance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The people that are comfortable right now and just hanging out and just hoping things are going to change, it's going to hurt.
Well,
so,
I tell you, Waldo, that's perfect timing. I appreciate you sharing that. You know, and as we started out this call and we're talking about leaning on people and getting ideas from other resources, you know, one of the things that we picked up as a tool was to set up this subscription program for GMA members. So what we did was we said, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 conference calls on a weekly basis on Monday and do a fun one on Friday. And then we'll do 3 in the middle of the week. And these roundtables are going to be for subscribers only. And then there's a, revenue model attached to that. That was an idea from another association, and they're structured a little bit differently. I initially pushed back on it a little bit, but I thought, well, heck, we'll give it a shot. So what we've done is we did exactly that. We did 6. This is the 6th of 6 conference calls, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We did 2 each day, and we had a revenue model attached to it for the subscriptions. But our leadership team has gotten together and internally and throughout the organization, and we've decided that what we're going to do is we're going to change that model and back and be able to do what we typically do. I mean, anything that we can give that there's no revenue attached to, we love to do that. We got to keep the lights on, guys. I mean, the business is business, but the reality is what we're going to do is we're going to open these calls up, these roundtable calls up, to continue to serve in the format and in the nature that GMA is founded on. So starting next week, you guys are the first ones to hear it outside of the office and the leadership conference call. But we're gonna roll these calls out because we're finding that there's great value in it, but we're also finding that a lot of companies are putting a lockdown on spending 1 penny right now. I mean, a $9.95 subscription, believe it or not, we're getting some people that are saying that there's pushback on that. And that's scary. Yeah. I mean, but it's the reality. If companies are locking down on expenditures, we got that. They don't want any new ones. So we're not going to let that be a factor. We don't want money to be a barrier of entry for you to be able to get and access this information that we're sharing. Now, all of those folks that have subscribed, we got a lot of subscribers that are on the call today. We got a really great bonus for you. We're going to have a real fun party as a give back once we get to all clear. So we're going to have a subscriber party. And so thank you for stepping up and saying that you wanted to participate at that level. We're going to cancel all the subscriptions going forward. So there's no revenue attached to them, but we want to make sure that we give back to you. And then we're going to be able to open this up and even serve more people, because the people that have been on the calls have expressed an interest that there's value here, and we're going to, extend that beyond here. So, but learn from other people, take the advice, but also qualify it to make sure it fits in your culture and aligns with your goal sets. So thanks, Waldo, for sharing that.
You got it. Anybody have any other thoughts, questions? I know once again, I didn't want to get too tactical, but more mindset here. Anybody have something on their mind that they want to ask or share? Any question or comment? Okay. Okay, got it.
This is Henry Quillian. Thank you very much. Barbara Corcoran, the famous Shark Tank person, suggested that take some time to call even the lowest employee and just let them know you're thinking about them, even if it's somebody that ultimately may have their revenue cut off because of lack of employment.
Right.
To try to engender good relations for their return.
Roger that. Oh yeah, that'll set such a vector of success. I call it walking the flight line, getting out there and appreciating the unsung heroes, letting them know that you're there for them, that you appreciate them. The ones that are in the trenches turning the wrenches, those lower tier employees, because they're the ones that are hurting right now. Most of us, if you're an entrepreneur, you're doing pretty well and you have some money in the bank, it's those folks that aren't able to make payroll or put food on their table next week. And maybe that sense of inspiration that you said, Henry, and calling those young ones up could mean a big difference for them.
Yeah. And Henry asked a question for you about how you start and end your day. What is it that you do? What kind of processes do you have?
So how you set your day, I call it setting a vector for your day. So I get up and I read something spiritual and positive in the morning. It's a daily read, maybe a couple minutes long. And then I'm very intentional about envisioning my success, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't envision the success, if you don't picture it in your mind, then you can't manifest reality. And so if you're distracted by negative attitudes, you swipe left on your phone and start reading the negative media. If you start looking at negative things, you're going to literally set that energy into your mindset and your body, and you attract what you think about, right? Yep. So you have to kick off the day with something positive, something spiritual, some short chapter in a book that can kind of be the flavor. It's a drop of food coloring in the glass of water. It's like, ding, the whole glass changes, right? So find that drop of food coloring and make it a great, loving flavor and paint your day out. And then I hit the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I'll meditate as well 3 to 4 times a week. I don't do it enough, but I think it's important to quiet our mind and just get focused on just quieting and letting spirit and energy enter you, whatever you believe. I believe in all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I start, I make sure I spend a little bit of time with my wife and son. And then I like to sweat a little bit. Like I said, I think it's important to get your heart rate up. And then I'm in the office and I'm cranking through my to-do list. A lot of time the to-do list is on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. I have priorities set of the day. I've got my calendar there and I start hammering through. The mistake I make is I let my Outlook and my inbox distract me. How many of you can relate to that?
Yeah.
I'm working on something. Oh, this thing just came in. And so I have got to be better about shutting that damn thing off and having bite-sized chunks of focused energy, 20 to 30 minutes perhaps, where then I could go back to an email or maybe doing something else. They say you should only check your email, 2 or 3 times a day anyway, and then block it. But just get focused and start hammering out the most important things that are going to move the needle with you. And then I like to vary the day. I don't like doing, I like to, if I'm going to have a conference call, then I want to have some quiet time doing, some writing. If I'm doing business development and sales, I like to hammer that out in one segment and then move on to something else. I try not to scatter the day with different segments of my business. Try to focus them in, work on marketing, work on sales, business development, do admin and financing, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, before I leave the office, I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm not showing up to the office figuring out the day. I'm figuring out before I leave. What are the priorities for that next day? Who am I going to call? what do I need to clean up so when I can put a bookend on that day and knowing as soon as I hit this cockpit in this office tomorrow, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So plan it.
Jason,
Go ahead.
Jumping on that just real quickly, those are great thoughts. I'm just curious. We always have such, incredibly talented people on these calls. Those are all great suggestions. Does anyone else have any sort of thoughts and practices and disciplines around that frankly, if you probably have them, they probably didn't start, 10 days ago. You probably used them over the years. Anyone else have any thoughts and practices that you use in that regard?
Yeah, I do. I found through a mentor that kissing the ugly frog first is what frees up your mind and day. So if there's a project that you really hate doing, whatever it would be, paperwork, calling somebody who's not performing well or anything like that, or even just something, like fixing the lock on your door, something, something home project. If you get that out of the way first, whether you do it at the end of the day or in the morning or whenever it's bothering you the most, get rid of that project, do it right away, and then your mind is totally free to focus on what needs to be done and do it more productively. So I've used that so many times. It's very freeing. It gives you a lot of freedom to think, freedom to work, and stuff gets done. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. One thing that I'd like to add really quickly, Robert mentioned meditation. And I myself have been involved with Zen Buddhism for 25 years now and do quite a lot of meditation and sitting, and participated in an experiment at Emory. And one of the things they found that meditation does is it actually structures the way that information is run through the brain, and more information is run through your prefrontal cortex than through your limbic system. So what that's going to mean, if you start meditating and you stick with it, is you're going to, when you get hit with a challenge, you're going to face it with the part of your brain that deals with long-term planning, with ethics, with cause and effect, and with those kinds of things, instead of just an emotional reaction based in fear, insecurity, jealousy, those kinds of things. So meditation, I think, is really crucial for those of us that are involved in problem solving and get hit with challenges that require higher level thinking.
And what's your first name again? I'm sorry.
My first name is Michael. My last name is Goldman. It's showing up there as M.A. Goldman.
Yep. I see that. Yeah. Can you share, I'd love for you, like maybe you could send a link or put it in the chat. Like if you have any resources, I'm always trying to think of new resources for meditation, new techniques. There's a Buddhist temple right down the street from me in Dunwoody that I go to once in a while. I'm a Jew and I love all the different stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was raised Jewish myself. I was ordained as a Zen Buddhist priest about 8 years ago. And I teach at the Atlanta Soto Zen Center.
Wow. I love that. I love that. I would love for you to email me or send me stuff, or anybody here. I'd love to connect with you, because that could be a huge gift for me, because I'm always thinking of new ways to clear my mind and create and manifest good things.
Right,
right. And not live in the suffering that we all live in, most of us, right?
Yeah, Michael and Waldo, I've done the same thing since 2014. And it's, as an entrepreneur, it's really tough to silence your mind.
Yeah.
And not think about all these projects and things you want to do and get done now and reach out and blah, blah. But it took me a while before I finally silenced my mind, and started with just 5 minutes in the morning, and I couldn't even do that.
Yeah. I'll pile onto that too. Couple of things that I've done that have really helped in the last couple of years. The first hour of my day is mine. Back to how you start your day will help define how the rest of your day goes. And whether I meditate, and I do meditate on a regular basis, or it's exercise, or I may just be sitting down and it's me time. Nobody else, no outlook, none of that. It's just sitting down and spending some time with me, one of those non-negotiables. And then the other thing is a little short book called The Obstacle is the Way. It basically, it's a case study in Stoicism, but that's not the point. The point is, when you look at these obstacles, these things like coronavirus, looking for the opportunity in that, not looking at it as a well, this is a rock that's standing in my path.
Yeah.
But okay, so how can I reframe, like with the coronavirus? How can I reaffirm my relationships with my customers? How can I help them? How can, where's the opportunity in that sets the stage for later down the road or even now?
Yeah.
That's great. And I hate to cut, I got to get off here in 2 minutes because I have another phone call coming up. Can my email is Waldo, by the way, waldo@yourwingman.com, waldo@yourwingman.com. I'd love for you to email me that and then share it with anybody else on the call. I'm also at Waldo Waldman on LinkedIn. The Obstacle is the Way. I've heard that book. That I gotta get it. And Mark, or if you could share some ideas on that, it would be wonderful. And speaking of books, by the way, I want to give everybody a copy of my audio book. It's a New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestseller called Never Fly Solo. If you like what you heard today, I pack it with a lot of things on preparation and biz dev, but also fear and courage. I overcame massive claustrophobia as a fighter pilot, panic attacks at 25,000 feet. I talk about commitment and mindset and how you break through the fears. If you go to yourwingman.com, that's my website, yourwingman.com/NFS, like never fly solo, NFS. yourwingman.com/NFS. Put your email address in. I'll send you the link to the audiobook. Share it with your friends. Share it with your kids. It's $20 on Audible. I like to share it with you guys for free. And
you will love it. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my all-time favorites. I love, hanging out, chatting with Waldo, but it's nice to be able to carry him around, in your cell phone as well. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
I definitely encourage you to plug that in. Waldo, I can't say enough how much I appreciate you taking your time, hanging out with us today, being the ultimate wingman for GMA and all of our crew here. And we're really excited to see how this thing's going to shake out. Looking forward to seeing you September the 5th. I'll see you before then, but
yeah,
hopefully introducing you to more of this crowd at the summit in September.
And I just want to end just saying congratulations once again, because I guarantee any one of you I could talk to, I would walk away inspired with new ideas and new context. We all have a gift to give. And I just honor you for showing up and being gracious with your time. And I believe in positive energy and positive karma. And I really wish you the best. I'm sure we're going to all visit each other at one point or another. I'm in Atlanta, and I work with Southwire, a lot of big companies, and you just never know where our paths will cross. And if I can help you in any way, Waldo@yourwingman.com. Keep pushing it up, folks. Godspeed, and embrace the obstacle. Embrace it.
Love it.
Right? We're only going to get better. I'm taking off, folks. God bless you.
All right, brother. Thanks so much. It's been another great day. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Got it. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Godspeed.